Over the past 10 years, I've run and consulted on several crowdfunding campaigns, and I want to share what I wouldn't do if I was doing another one. I also want to share some resources because I think that lack of funding is one of the biggest barriers to small businesses being able to be successful, either in when they're ready to grow or when they want to get started. If you go to the link in my bio, you'll see a giant blog post full of funding resources that includes grants, crowdfunding, loans, microloans, everything that I could think of to help you find funding for your business. I stuck it in there and I update it when I find new things. It's free. You don't have to give me your email. It's just on my blog. You can go read it now. Okay, so when it comes to crowdfunding, at this point, I've managed or run or consulted on over a dozen. One of the things that people forget is that this is like having a second job. It is so much work, and I think people really underestimate how much work it is, and they don't plan for that, and they don't incorporate that into their schedule so that they don't get behind. And because of that, they don't plan ahead. They think that they are going to launch their crowdfunding and then it's done. When in reality, a good crowdfunding starts probably 3 months before the actual launch date and continues hard all the way through the actual crowdfunding period, whether that's a month or 90 days or whatever that is, and then even the wrap up as well. And if you're not planning ahead for that level of work, you're going to get behind and things are going to get lost and slip through the cracks and you're going to drop balls, and you don't want to do that. In my experience, a lot of people who are interested in crowdfunding also don't do their research before they start so that they are starting on the best possible foot. There's a ton of information out there. Google is free. Go learn everything you can about crowdfunding before you launch one. And yeah, I've seen people know nothing about crowdfunding and decide to launch one, and it never works. Something else I wouldn't do if I was running a crowdfunding campaign or consulting on one is expecting friends and family to carry the bulk of this, whether that is in contributions to support it or even helping you spread the word. Like, your friends and family will want to help you, but they are busy. They have their own lives. This is not their crowdfunding campaign. It is yours. So don't expect them to do all of the work for you. There will be an initial push and they will do their best, and then they're going to forget about it. So you really have to think about getting outside of your friends and family. Another really common mistake I see is people forgetting to update their supporters. During the length of a crowdfunding campaign, you have a ton of people rooting for you and they want to be updated. They want to know what's going on. And the more that you update them, the more that you bring them in, the more that you form community, the more likely that those are the people who are going to share your message. And related to that, I think people often forget to start promoting their crowdfunding campaign before it launches. Ideally, you want to have a list of people who are ready to donate, ready to support you, an email list before you even start, so that as soon as it's launched, you can send it to them and they can help be your promoters and your supporters. And yes, friends and family are going to be a part of that, but we really are thinking beyond that. Something else I wouldn't do is rely on one social media platform or one way of connecting with people as the only method. Algorithms are a thing. Social media is a busy place. People are busy. So you want to make sure that you are using different social media platforms and also different methods of connecting with people, whether that's graphics or statistics or video or humor or whatever it is that your audience needs to hear. Make sure that you are hitting all of their points. And I've already mentioned planning, but I really want to mention it again because this is a day-to-day operation. You cannot launch a crowdfunding campaign and plan to update somebody once a week and do nothing else in between. You have to be promoting it. You have to be figuring out ways to share it. You have to really be thinking every single day. So one of the best ways that you can do that is to plan ahead. Get a calendar, like a blank calendar, and for the length of your crowdfunding campaign, you need to be doing something every single day, probably multiple things every day in order to help you meet your goals. I mentioned planning before, but that is such a huge important piece. This is a 30-day sprint, right? So you are, and I said this is like a second job, so you are taking on more work than normal, but your whole life still continues. And what happens is people don't realize how fast that time goes. The time will absolutely fly. So if you're not planning to do something every single day before your crowdfunding starts, you're gonna miss stuff. Get a blank calendar, fill it out. What's your task every single day? This is a launch, this is a promotion, this is hard work. Another thing I would tell people to be really aware of is that you need to be connecting with people via email. Ideally, before you even launch, you have an email list of supporters who are ready to get out there and share your message. And then you are connecting with them, not just as updating supporters, but sending them email updates outside of that. So even if they haven't contributed yet, you are still updating them and keeping them informed of what's going on. Crowdfunding is about a community rallying behind somebody who is trying to reach a goal, whether that is a brand new community or a community of the same interest, or they're really excited to get the thing that you're giving them. Whatever that is, you have to support them and they have to be able to see that you're working for them. If you lose momentum, if you lose excitement, they'll lose it too.